Conversations with Nicci, and on today's conversation, we will be talking millennial married. I know most conversations, people are like, what is millennial married? Well, millennial married are people who are between the ages of, what is it, love, by the way? When you're born in the millennial era, and I think we are all born in the millennial era, and I guess we will be talking about being married in the millennial era. And with me, I will be introducing the couple. So we'll go around and we will start with the Rams. Hi, Rams. Could you introduce yourselves? Let us know who you are, how long you've been married for, and we'll then go around the table, the invisible table. So the Rams, you can go ahead.
All right.
Okay, hi everybody. It's Kweketso Rams and Kweketso Rams. We've been married now for almost 7 years. In December, we're going to be turning 7 years. And we've been together for 19 years, ever since grade 8. We're high school sweethearts. So yeah.
Yeah, since grade 8. So it's been long. So you can imagine, I don't even have ex.
Don't even have exes.
And you don't have exes. Wow.
Talking about entanglement.
I don't have any entanglement at all.
No entanglement.
For many years. We've dated from grade 8, but there was no entanglement because our girl was focused.
And he was focused. He knew what he wanted. Yes. Thank you. Nice to meet you. And then I'm going to go over to the Monahengs. Can you introduce yourselves to the listeners, to the watchers? Tell us how long you've been married for and who are we talking to as a couple?
Oh, hi. I am Cindy Monaheng. Been married for 2 years in September. And yeah.
And I am Kwaile Monaheng. We've been together for how many years? We dated since 2015, the 12th of July.
Yeah, he remembers the date.
Yeah, because I remember it because it's always in my mind. Anyway, we dated from the 12th of July. We got married on the 22nd of September 2018. So this year, 22nd of September, is going to be 2 years. And yeah, that's who we are.
Yeah, I just can't wait to say 2 years because I remember that in the first year, I always said that no, we have no rights to talk about marriage at all. Like you literally are a baby in marriage. Like there'd be times where like what you got to say about marriage. You only be married for a day. Like no. So now we're going for 2 years. I mean, like okay, maybe we can because we've seen a couple of things. But I was like, no, if you be married for 1 year, you are not saying anything about marriage.
Okay. That's interesting. And then now I'm going to head over to the Marules. Marules, introduce yourselves. Tell us how long you've been married for and, who you are.
I'm Sidi Marule. This is Habi Simpiwe Marule or Khoto Marule or Tso Marule, whatever he decides to go by today.
I've got 3 equally famous names.
So we married, it'll be 4 years in October. We've known each other since 2007. We've been dating since 2007. So that's 14 years. Yeah, 13 years. It's been a minute. Yeah.
Wow. That's quite a long time, eh? That's quite long.
Yeah.
It is. So for you to say it's quite a minute, it means it still feels like a minute. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's still pretty fresh. I won't lie. Like it's still pretty fresh. Like I don't feel like I've been with this person forever. Also because it's changed a lot. It feels like a new person. Yeah.
That's
a good thing. That's a good thing. And I guess we have to introduce ourselves. Well, I am Nicole Nechivungulu, better known as Nicci. This is Tapelo Nechivungulu. I say it wrong. It's Tabelo. Venda has a baritone that I don't have. My tongue does not have that baritone. So I'll allow him to say his name.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll say I have to represent my people now. I'm Tabelo Nechivungulu.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a long surname.
Exactly. Yeah, people call me Tubbs. Right. I think I gave myself that nickname actually in high school because people were messing up my name all the time. They'll call me Tapelo, and I'm not Tapelo, I'm Taber. Yeah. So we've been
surname.
Hey?
And even you nicknamed your surname. That was new to me. I'd never heard of that. Like, because your family, you guys are the Niccis. It's like you guys literally halved your surname. And now there's the Ram. Like people actually, no, where I grew up, no matter how long your surname is, it is your surname. You don't nickname your surname. So until I can,
why not?
Hey.
No, man. Yeah. So we've been together since 2011. We dated for a year and been married since 2012. Yeah. So we got married 22nd September. We share an anniversary with them on our hangs as well. Yeah.
Copycats.
Who copied who?
Great minds think alike.
Great minds think alike. Yeah.
And September, second half of the year, weddings just work. Rams, which time of the year did you get married?
Yeah, Marules, what time? Marules got married in October. Rams, when did you guys get married?
Yeah.
They look frozen.
They look frozen.
They'll come back.
And
They'll join us. The beauty of doing virtual conversations, but in future, without COVID-19, would have had this around a table. So I think we're going to quickly jump into it. So I wanted to know from the couples, I think you've already revealed how long you've been married for. So I'm going to pose this question to the Mona Hangs and ask, when you saw Cindy, was it an immediate, she is the one? Or was there, like, how did you know that she was going to be your wife? And with Cindy, how did you know he was going to be your husband?
Okay, should I start?
My part is a bit...
Should I start?
Okay, you can start.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Usually they say it was love at first sight, but for me, it wasn't love at first sight from that perspective. She's a great person. She's a wonderful person. And what happened is that we started off as friends, and I just liked her company. I liked spending time with her, and we just began to spend too much time together. And would I say I was not attracted to her when I met her? No, I was definitely attracted to her. But I think somewhere in the back of my mind, I had shut myself out of relationships. At that time, I don't think I was in a space where I was thinking about relationships. But I just found myself spending so much time with her and just gravitating in her direction, and just how every single time you got something you want to share with someone, and you just think of her, you just start typing it and just laugh over just those random things. That's what happened. And then over the course of time, I realized that I was actually fighting it because I realized, I'm starting to like her, but I was trying to fight it. And an incident happened, which she will explain. And then when that incident happened, it just...
What incident?
And I hope she's gonna say it as it happened. And an incident happened, occurred, and then after that incident happened, we had a conversation about it, and then here we are.
No, he is right. I must also be honest. I was not immediately attracted to him, but I definitely appreciated and enjoyed the friendship so much that I got to a point where I was single, and he was literally the only guy that was a friend around me, and we're just purely friends. And somewhere in the process of spending so much time in our friendship, I think, this is the embarrassing part, but then hey, we're transparent. So I think he liked this other girl, ne? So as friends, he comes to me excited and telling me that, there's this girl, because we're friends, hey, we really are. Like, I think I'm about to date her. And what would happen is that we'd spend a lot of Sunday. I love cooking, so he'd come and we'd just chill as friends at my place, and we I cook or he'd bring food or something.
Over Sunday course.
Yeah, and so he'd bring food. Or I'd cook or something. So this other day, I remember very well, I was chopping onions. And then he's standing on the other side of the counter, all excited, telling me that there's this girl that he thinks he likes this girl, and then he thinks he's about to date her. I kid you not. Tears just started, just I was like, and then he's like, and then he's like, no. Hey guys,
What did you say?
But I love him. I was like, I love you, So it was embarrassing because, hey, this is our friendship. He laughed at me.
You laughed.
Hey guys, he laughed.
I was stunned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He laughed at me. So, but I think, we still chill. So obviously he laughed at me and then he comforted me. We didn't have a conversation about it. But then obviously from now, the next day, I was like, you know what? Obviously our relationship has gotten a bit complicated. There now has to be boundaries. So I was like, you know what? I think we need to cut the spending a lot of time together. This is not going to work. At least until I am over you and you back. But we're staying friends because I knew that much. He was such a great friend and I didn't want to lose that. So I was like, no, it's cool, it's fine. You don't have to be where I'm at. But then I think things have become a bit complicated right now. So just back off a bit, and then we're gonna be good. And then
what happened is that I remember we had this conversation on a Friday that, you know what, we let's stop spending as much time together as we were spending, or sometimes during the week, if I remember correctly. And then what happened is that a couple of days went by and I realized that, you know what, I really like this person. So the fact that she said, you know what, she wants space from me, I realized that I really like this person. And then I remember that I sent her a message and I was like, you know what, I really like you, and I really want to spend my life with you, And,
so this was during the friendship stage where you were.
It was after she cried and then she said that, you know what, if you like someone else, then we can't spend as much time as we've been spending together, and let's take a break until she's healed or until she feels that how she feels for me won't compromise the friendship, And then what happened is that when she asked for that distance, during that period,
woke up.
During that period, I was like, you know what, no, I actually like this person because I missed the conversations, I missed spending time with her, I missed being in her space. And I remember it was a Sunday morning, I sent her a message and I said to her, you know what, I really like you too, and I want to talk to you, And I remember she was at her uncle's at the time, and I drove to her uncle's place and we parked outside and we're having the conversation, and I told her that, So the funny part is that I was like to her, you know what, I think we can try this. And then she's like to me, try what? Say it. Try what?
You were such good friends. The next thing I'm thinking that no, we've crossed over. Please tell me, what are we now going to be trying out?
What are we trying out? So I had to say it.
And then do you mean that I'm now going to be your girlfriend and then you are going to be my boyfriend? Like, please explain it. What's going to be happening?
She was like, are we being exclusive now? And I'm like,
yeah. That's my story. Yeah. So and
that's how from that Sunday, that's how everything started.
So that's how we know the exact day when we started dating.
Yeah. This was 2015.
Recorded. Huh? Yeah, recorded 2015 July. So yeah, so I was like, recorded from this day. We are now dating. I am now your girlfriend, and I'm a boyfriend.
I'm my boyfriend.
So you guys let it take.
No, the girl was focused. You were focused, Cindy. You were like, you have to.
I was like, I didn't cry for nothing.
Yes, no, that is so proper, and it's like Tender here. Comment says it's needed. Clarity is needed, and so with you guys, from my understanding, there was no moment to say she's the one. It was something that you guys eventually, with your distance quietly, you saw that no, but this is the person that I actually need in my life. Beautiful. 100%. I'm gonna take it over to before we get to the Rams, I'm gonna go to the Marules. Marules, would you say when you guys met each other that you knew from the get-go that Saw was your husband? And so did you know from the get-go that Sidi was your wife? How was that interaction?
Yeah, when I saw so, I didn't see the one. he was just not the vision I had for a husband.
He was the vision you had for a husband.
It's not the image that I had when I thought of a life partner.
She's picturing Boris Kidjo.
Yeah. Or Will Smith.
Yeah. And here comes this guy half the size of Boris Kidjo.
So what happened is when I saw
Okay, you seem to be having a bit of connection issues on the Marules, so I'm going to take it over to the Rams. And then we're going to take it over to the Rams.
and
Oh,
then he was
Marules,
hilarious.
sorry,
And he like,
Sidi.
no, he's not the one. But I'm like,
Sidi, we
Yeah.
lost you there for a bit, so I would need you to actually start again.
oh,
'Cause-
sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
your network.
So what I was
went-
saying when I met so I was like, yeah, no, he's not the one for me. But then like as I got to know him and like we hung out, I remember our first date was like at this other place like O'Hagan's, and we had like cool drinks together, and he was going on, and he was so funny. I was like, this guy is so funny. And with me, I love laughing. And like as time went by, I was like, you know, when your heart is like you like him, but then you're like your eyes are like, oh, you don't like him.
The heart was saying something else, but your eyes were like, no.
He was. Yes. My eyes are like, no, this is not the Boris Kidjo for me. Petty in terms of what I was looking
Oh,
for.
TD.
Like there's
Oh,
a
no.
So
Oh, okay.
he was-
Yeah, they are a bit frozen. We're gonna try and get them back. Okay, Sidi, you froze again.
Ah,
Yeah, you froze again, fam. We didn't even hear how. The last thing we heard was the heart was willing, but the eyes were saying no, and that was it.
but anyway, then he grew on me because he was like an awesome person, and yeah, I liked him. And like once I started liking him, it just like snowballed. I couldn't ignore it. Yeah.
And so from day one when you met Sidi, was she the one for you, or was it the one, or you were like, how did your interaction with Sidi happen?
For me, it was love on second sight, because the first time I saw her, I didn't really pay attention to her. Like she was just there. She's just around, and I was like, okay, whatever, you know. But then the second time at the O'Hagan's, yeah, I kind of like, yo, you need to remember that girl. Funny enough, I remembered her. So I guess she did make an impression on me. Even though we didn't speak, we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I said, yo, to my cousin, yo, bring that friend of yours. Yeah, and yeah, man, I knew second time I knew.
You want to spend the rest of your life with her?
Yeah, well, not in those words, because I was a different person then.
I think for our viewers, so I think for the viewers, explain when you say you were a different person back then to what you are now.
Yeah, I mean, look, those were my BC days, you know what I mean? Before Christ days, you know what I mean? So I was very anti-marriage, you know what I mean?
So you just wanted to get the girl,
Bag
a girl, and that was it for you, to say you bagged her.
I was a rapper, bruh. You know what I mean? I was a rapper.
Take it all.
I was a rapper. You can even tell by the way I speak. I was a rapper. So, but yeah, man, I mean, she was kind of like the first real girlfriend I ever had. But yeah.
I'm gonna go to the Rams. So the Rams, was it you guys had been together for 19 years, like 19 years. So from Vele the get-go, was it I'm gonna marry you? Or was it still, we're still lovers in high school, we'll see how this goes?
Yeah.
You know what happened? I was in grade 8 with his cousin, and his cousin was like, was my friend, and she was like, I really want you to meet my cousin. His name is also Koketo, like you. And I think if you guys share a lot in common, you'd make a great couple. Yeah. And as time went, I think it was the year 2001, February, he came to our school. So the cousin introduced us. The first time I saw him, I really liked him. It was, for me, it was love at first sight. For me, I don't know about him.
I was a charmer those days. You can imagine.
Yeah, he was a charmer.
I was together.
He's still a charmer. He's still a charmer. And then when I met him, it was like, I remember we had a mini conversation, and then I left. I remember telling myself that I'm gonna look back, and if he's looking at me, it means he likes me. And as I walked away, I tend to look back, and he was looking at me. I was like, hey, she always says that he was looking at my butt, but I know he was looking at me. And so I believe I believe that he did like me, because there was a time that I actually, when we started dating, there was a time I actually told him that I wish you and I would have met, like, in our probably like maybe 10 years from now. Because I was thinking that obviously, I could see that I really, really like him, but I thought that obviously would break up, in grade 8, what do we know about love? But I kind of felt that he was meant for me at that age. But I was like, I wish you and I would have met, like maybe in our varsity times or something, because now you'll probably break my heart, I'll probably break your heart. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess God was listening at that point in time.
Yes, I mean 19 years strong. No
entanglement.
No, it was up and down during our high school time. It was on and off, but we'd always find a way to get back together. It's like, even when he had a girlfriend, I had a boyfriend, we just like spending time together. So we would be like, I'm spending time with my friend, we're friends, we would, be open about what's going on in the relationship, but we were just glued to each other. Even if I was with someone, but something would just want us to like be together. Yeah. Okay. I don't know about him. He always says that he was looking at my butt, so you can ask him.
If that was where the vision was, you can be honest.
Oh, vision.
Yeah, no. To be quite honest, there was something to look at. There was no way that I was going to miss that. So I did look at her behind. But yeah,
wow.
Honestly, during those times, high school days, we all want to. We're not that matured, So for us, it's for you how many girlfriends you have and all of that. But what I can say for sure is that when I first met her, I liked her. Like, she was so sweet, ne? She had this beautiful smile about her that I loved. Okay, no, you still have. But I loved the smile. But yeah, during those times, I think we were still, a playboy and all of that. But one thing for sure is that what brought us together, we love spending time together. So we always had a reason to see each other. Even though I had someone on the side, she had someone, we honest. That's how raw.
It was before we dated.
Okay.
He had someone, I had someone, but we would always spend
Make
time
time.
together as
Yes.
friends.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I think I liked her so much. I didn't want to break her heart because I think I was a rush breaker.
Yeah, he
Some
took
of-
time. He
Yeah,
actually
I
took
took
time.
time.
I sent him a letter.
You know, you know, got that envelope, Alfastere, with a window. You know that window envelope. Yes,
Yeah, the statement.
she wrote a letter. He said, "Dude, I mean, tell me if you love me already. I mean,
Because we'd
And all
spent
of-
time together, but he wasn't telling me. But after I sent the letter, he then said, look, I really like you, but you are one of those girls that I feel like I don't want to play with.
Mm.
So
yeah,
you're not
That's-
like one of those girls that I'll easily take advantage and say, I want to date you for the sake of it. But we would always just be spending time together.
yeah, yeah. On the
And we had a lot in common as well.
on the real, yeah.
actually.
I think on the real, it was more like that. I mean, I could have, if I knew that she wanted me, and I wanted to take advantage. Obviously, I was gonna, you know, during those times. But with her, it was totally different. Yeah, but then after that, I got the courage to say, yeah, you know what, let's try this thing, you know. And then yeah, we tried it, and it was all good. Yeah, it had a lot of ups and downs, definitely, a lot of ups and downs. It was not a 19-year straight of no interruptions, you know. But yeah,
That's it.
okay, that's it.
That's beautiful. Well, I think we will quickly touch on our story before answering. I see there's a question that was posed in the group from Precious saying, was choosing a partner who's a Christian a must? But before we get to that, I think we'll tell our story. You can tell it.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I come
your
from,
view. And
yeah,
I
I come from a colorful background. Right. So it's quite interesting how I met my wife actually. Yeah, I hate cliche statements, but anyway, right? So I'm a pastor's kid, right? So I had the cliche pastor's upbringing, né? And then I did the cliche pastor's kid things, né?
So you're saying what's cliche? People may not know what
People
cliche is.
know, like
What?
people know, like people always associate pastor's kids with a rough life, in a way.
Prodigal son.
Yeah, the problem
Rebels.
child, like rebelling. But I did go through a stage where I hardcore rebelled against everything Christian, right? And then I turned back. I got to a point, Quayle knows this. I got to a point I was like, I'm done with this worldly life of mine. I want to go back to church, like proper church. Found a church in Centurion, a very small church, right? And funny enough, we went and met the pastor, myself, and Cindy's husband there, and Quayle, before we went to the church, right? And it was good. From that first Sunday, the pastor says to me, I know your story, I know where you're coming from. There's a lady in the church, a girl around the same age as you. I think you guys will get along.
Yeah.
Understand that? And my thing is, I had this thing. I have a daughter. My firstborn was born in 2010, right? So I'd beat myself up like proper. Like when they say you don't suffer condemnation as a child of God, me, I ignored that scripture. I condemned myself. I didn't need Satan to do that for me, right?
Yeah.
So I'd go for a different kind of human beings, eh? And then I ended up, I was like, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm not winning at this game on my own. Let's forget women. I told myself, forget women, forget dating, forget this love thing, forget this marriage thing. I'm going back to God. I'm going back to Jesus. All right. First thing the pastor says to me is, hey, there's this lady. I'm like, oh, okay. Right. So the following Sunday, Nicci came through, but she came through with her daughter and with a friend at that time. So when I saw them, I saw a couple. I was like, oh, anyway, what this pastor is sending me to the dungeons here. Right, this lady's already taken. Né? So I left her for a bit. Né? And then a few weeks went in. I'd ignore her. Like, I hate approaching women. by the way. I sat there and I hate rejection. I was scared of Dr. Bawaba, for real. Now, so I left her. I wouldn't talk to her that much. And my younger brother and my mom actually started talking to her quite a lot. This one Sunday, I don't know what happened, but she was wearing a nice number, bro. I saw the same thing Koketso saw, right? And I was like, I am sitting. So, yeah, so I was.
Yeah, tunnel vision.
Yeah, I had tunnel vision. So I was part of the band. I played percussions at church, and she walked in. So obviously we got there earlier, right? So she walked in, put her Bible down, right? So in between rehearsal and church starting, I go and place my Bible next to her seat. Then planning the attack now on her daughter.
In the house of the Most High.
In the house of the Lord.
In the house of the Lord. Hey, bloody church brothers.
Hey, when she was looking nice, eh? I even tell her, like, that dress is still in the wardrobe as we speak today, right? On the days where I request her to wear that dress with a specific belt.
Yes.
It's a specific belt, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, nothing happened, right? And we're doing some youth thing, right? And Nicci put together this play and all this stuff. And in this play, like, it happened that we were a couple in the play, right? Written by the script writer herself, right? So obviously we'll have rehearsals and stuff like that at her crib. And we started talking. And from the first day we started talking, we clicked. We couldn't stop talking, right? She had a similar background that I had. Right? She also had a daughter before we got married. And we connected purely on that part, firstly, where God had started restoring us and calling us back and showing us his love, right? There was a year, I think it was 2011, where Man United was playing Barcelona in the Champions League final, or something like that. Yeah. So she made a bet that if Man United loses, I must take her out on a date.
No. I said I'll take your classes.
Okay. Anyway, as Man United always does, they're better now. But we lost. We lost, and I took her out on a date, right? On that date, I don't want to talk for too long. On that date, right, I remember I took her to Orient in Melrose Arc, and she sat down, and I ordered food for her, right? I ordered crispy duck for her. I don't know if this person eats Thai food or what. She's a
Zoom girl. Bear in mind, duck was not something we knew back then yet. So I was like, duck. This guy's taking me to fancy places, but all right.
I ordered crispy duck, and then I literally poured out everything. So I was like, there's a type of life I lived. This is where I'm going from, right? I used to date this and this and this person, right? I was quite a messy person. I'm in business. Business goes up and down. Like, I literally poured out. I didn't come through in that date. I didn't come through with like how you normally do, like just try to impress a lady. I wasn't macking. Yeah, I was just pouring out my heart. At the end of that dinner, we decided that we want to do this. Like, we actually want to date. Because she told me the same thing, that she was tired of messing around. If we're going to date, we're doing this for real, right? From that first day, we told our pastors the following day. From that first day, we dated with an intention to get married, right? And it was the first time in my life ever doing that. Quite a nose, right?
And the last time. Make
yes.
that.
Yes. So do you have a hand now?
Yes.
No, it's a clap.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So from day one, I literally, from that first date, I think we prayed, we fasted for a day, and then for 3 days. And then on that Thursday, I ran my own business, so I could go to a crib at any time. But I went to her house for lunch, right? She cooked for me, right? And I officiated the dating. And my mom is taught, right? To make a relationship official, you have to lamza, you have to kiss. So we kissed. So we kissed, and it was official. And then since that day, we never spent a day apart. I think till 6 months into our marriage, where I had to travel.
Wow.
I think for me, yeah, when I first saw Tubbs, it was not, that's my husband. There was no moment. I was
She's
like,
lying.
there wasn't. I was like, when I first saw him, I was like, this guy's so proud. Like, there's no way I can be with this guy.
So proud.
No, because he was like the band guy. You know how if you are in church, those that know churches, band guys like to think they're exclusive, like they are, you know? So I was just like, this guy is so
wow.
No,
I didn't know that.
I am not. There was no way. And I think as I got to know him, that's when I was like, okay, all right. And then when, you know, I was not used to people, or should I say, I was not used to guys being so honest upfront on a date, where they tell you, it's like, I always say, he hates the illustration I use, but he vomited all the ugly things you'd want to know about a person, where you're like, I don't think you've got too much baggage. I don't want to carry your baggage. So he came with so much baggage, and I was like, I don't think I want this baggage. But then God revealed to me that this is a person who's come honestly to you as who you are. And then I think that's when God started talking to me, be like, yeah, this is the man for you. This is your husband. So then, at that moment, that's when I was like, all right, okay, we are now a thing. So I'm going to go back to one of the questions that came from Precious. She's like, when choosing a partner, was choosing a partner who's a Christian a must for you? Do any one of you guys want to take
that? Are you saying no?
I'll answer.
Amen.
Okay, you can go.
I think because at the time I wasn't saved, it wasn't really a priority. But in the process of life, I was changing, and he was not saved, so we were unequally yoked. So it was a huge thing for me, and hence we broke up at the time, because I was like, I can't be with somebody who's not saved. So once I did become saved, it was an issue, and I was willing to let go of that love, because I didn't want to keep clashing with God and feeling the disconnected with God because of what we would be doing or that type of thing. So initially, no, because I wasn't saved. But once I became saved, yes. And I was like, if you're not about Jesus, then bye. Then it was a priority to me.
So with the Marules, it became a priority where you let him go because of your relationship with God. Okay, and then Kwaile, you also wanted to answer that?
Yeah, well, I think Tidi answered it appropriately, because you want to be equally, for me it was a priority, because I was in the church from my teen years, and therefore I understood that you have to be equally yoked with the person that you're going to get married to. You know what I mean? Spirituality or the lack thereof in a relationship plays a big role in people's lives. So at some point you will get to that point where it's going to be a factor, you know. And so I think that if you're a Christian, if you're a child of God, be with someone who carries the same belief systems with you as far as your spirituality is concerned. So it was a definite factor for me.
Koketso, do you also want to answer that?
Yeah, he's gonna be back. For me, I would say, we were 14 years. So we were coming from different churches. I was at ZCC while I was going to ZCC, and he was a born again. So it was that thing of, we would always argue. We'd say, "Well, now I'm gonna marry you. You know, I'm gonna marry you, and you're gonna come to my church." And I always said, I will never leave my church. I will never. But more than anything, I think we were 14 years, 15, 16. when I saw that this guy's actually serious about me, and he actually, like, I could see a future with him, clearly so, I had to obviously ask my mom, can I go with him to his church at sometimes? And my mom agreed, surprisingly. And yeah, from there I started going to his church, and I kind of grew also spiritually. And for me, just having, you know, two backgrounds of two different churches, I think it helped me spiritually to grow even faster. So yeah, but I would always tell him I would never go to your church, or you know, BM Zalwani, I am fine at the CC. But yeah, right, you know, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what's your take, but spiritually was not playing a part in that.
Okay, so I missed on the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I was all my life I've been a church boy, right?
A Cubanist at church.
You have to bring that one up. Yeah, but funny enough, I think at that time growing up, I didn't have this marriage time that it must be from the church per se. But for me, I always felt I need someone that I can connect with. I never dated the church actually. So it was never a case of this person must be a Christian or all of that. Yeah. So, but as time went on, and then I met her, and then it was more about connection, not the background of a person at that point in time.
Not that I'm specifically looking for a church. Yeah. And just to say, when I started going to his church, there were so many girls that were like looking at me like, who's this? I think they were also looking at, no, you're supposed to, I think even mothers, you could see that I'm going to be honest, they didn't like me. It was, who's this girl? And especially when they had
church boy.
our church boy,
a golden boy at that time.
He was a Cubanese, but he was a Cubanese. He was like so entangled in his church, so everybody loved him, you know. And when I came in, it was like, you know, it was just a difficult process, even just me feeling like I'm 100% welcome. You could feel 50% this side, you are welcome. The other 50% is like, why are you taking our boy? Yeah. And which church are you from? Yeah. So, yeah.
I think, I mean, just to clear it up, I mean, we are not born saved, guys. And along your journey, you meet someone. I mean, there's a lot of marriages where you have two saved people, right? But it's still a broken marriage. You know, I think it's not about whether this person is a Christian or not, but I would say it's very important to get someone who knows God.
Or who is easily teachable about
and
God.
And willing to have that connection, you know, because then sometimes actually you don't want to be praying and this person say, hey, warasa, man, you're making noise. So you don't want to experience I think it's important to know. You want someone who that fears the Lord, because once you get someone who doesn't fear the Lord, I think for me, in my view, it becomes difficult to actually control the person. You know, yeah.
Can I just? Oh.
You can go ahead, Kwale.
Yeah, you can.
I would actually agree with Mr. Rams there, because I think it's so important that he went that direction, because we need to be specific and say that when we say that you must go for someone who is a Christian, we're not saying that go for someone who necessarily is a religious church person. You know, I think we should be clear on that one, you know, because, and I think those factors that he mentioned are very important, because just because someone is Christian does not mean you guys are going to click. Just because someone is Christian does not mean you guys are going to necessarily have a good marriage. It's the reality of the matter. And I think he's also appropriate in saying that you want someone who's got a relationship with God, you know, because that's what you need. You actually want someone who's got a relationship with God. Because here's the thing, like I said earlier, the thing is, you know, when you go through life, and you're going to soon go through life after you get married, there's so many things that you're going to realize that are beyond yourself. And at some point, you're going to want something beyond you to come and assist you within the marriage. Now imagine two people who are in whose belief systems are different. They can't even stand together in agreement in that particular area. You want to have something that you can both stand in agreement on while connecting with something beyond yourselves that you want the solution to. And as a child of God, imagine you're a child of God, but the person that you're with has a completely different belief system, a completely different understanding of how to connect with whatever it is that you're connecting with, as it were. You know, so for me, that's why I specifically say that you want to be with someone who's a Christian, because you want to be equally yoked, because life is going to happen. Life is going to happen.
Definitely. And with you, was it a factor to date a Christian person?
I think most of everyone here has said exactly what I wanted to say as well. It's not really about going to church or being a Christian or carrying a Bible. It's about relationship with God. I dated Christians and church people, and there was a lot of heartbreak, right? But when I met you and I met my wife, why are you laughing? When I met my wife, it was more about being able to have the same conversation. Understand? Like what Kwale is saying, when life is happening, being able to put our trust in God. So, guys, it's difficult to be with someone who doesn't even know how to do that. Right? And the fact that we're able to do that, it makes life much, much easier. Yeah.
I've got two questions that I'm going to try tie in for all of us to answer. So the first question is, did it matter what kind of church your better half attended? And then the other question is, sure, there are many questions. I wanted to tie in that. And then the other question was, how do you see that someone has a relationship with God?
Yeah.
With the previous question, just to start it off there before we get here, for me, I was in a space, I've always been a church girl, but I have to be honest, I definitely did not like church guys at all. Like, I was like, I will never date a guy in the church. I was that girl for some reason. And obviously it burnt me a lot. And little did I know that I'm the girl who got married to a pastor. So how things happened for me, in meeting Habi, I did not meet him in church as much as we were in church circles. So much that let me confirm, when did we start going to church together? We went to church together only when we wanted to, the pastor who married us, we were officially telling him that, hey, we are ready. But that
after
was
a year.
No, I think it was after, let me count, 16, 17. Okay, yeah, we started going to church together in 2017. And we had been dating since 2015. And a lot of people knew, but very few people knew. And I had deliberately kept my relationship away from the church because for some reason, I'd seen a pattern in church circles where people tended not to be very real with each other the minute they've put a relationship in the church. And also, I was careful with us that I had to be sure. I didn't want a situation where we are not ready. But because the minute, guys, there's pressure that comes from a church where the minute you've put the relationship in church, people think you're going to get married. And it's expected that you're going to get married. And sometimes you're not yet there. So we deliberately kept our relationship away from the church, and until I was ready to say that, okay, I think now we know what we're doing, and it worked. It really did work. But in the process of that time, what I saw in him, I really saw a guy who loves God more than I've seen anybody. He's truly obsessed and truly loves God. It was real, it was authentic, it was genuine. So for the first time, I did not see a fake Christian guy, which is what I was running away from church guys, because I was like, I will never date a church guy.
That's me. That was me.
no, man, you cannot meet this person and know that Kwele's life is about God. So there's no two ways about it. He's not lukewarm about anything in his Christianity. He is so he is so straight. It's either this or that. And that helped me grow too, because for the first time I saw a man who's like, I am a Christian, I am about God and nothing else. And all of that took place without us going to church together. So it worked in a different way for me. And for me to be married to a guy who's a pastor and ended up marrying a guy who is a church man, it was by the grace of God. Personally, I would have never, if I had had a choice to choose for myself, that Cindy, are you going to marry a pastor? Are you going to marry a church boy? I would have said no. But things just happened. And I'm grateful for that friendship, that so much happened in our space of being friends outside the church, where I really got to know him and not the church boy. I got to know him and not the pastor. I didn't get to know his calling or whatever gifts that he had. I got to know him, and yeah, so it really didn't matter which church we went to together. It became an easy decision when we decided that we are going to get married, and the pastor that was going to marry us, because it was a church that he was also going to it, but then there was a season where he wasn't going there anymore, and then yeah, so yeah, that's me.
But you know what? But just to help that person who's asking the question, I think that also everything should be in context, right? Like, I think that we could do it like that because we'd been Christians for a very long time, and therefore we already understood personal values, personal convictions, and therefore, if, for example, I was saying things that were inconsistent with what she knew to be Christian, she could easily say, this is not it. I can hear what you're saying is not it. So that's why usually we advise people to go to the same church, because then at least you know that you're getting the same value systems and the same understanding and the same beliefs, and you know that this person is hearing what I'm hearing, and therefore what is accurate, you know. But as she says, I don't think that going to the same church should be a factor, as long as everything is in the right place. For some people, going to the same church will work for them. For some people, not going to the same church may work, because maybe you find that you don't want to be in the same space as far as church is concerned, as far as those kind of things is concerned. You want to enjoy your relationship. So I think that question, things will work differently for different people. But the most important thing is the values and the convictions should be the same.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm going to put out the other two questions together. So the one other question is, how do you deal with each other's weaknesses? And going back to the last question was, how do you see or know that someone has a relationship with God?
Can I take that one?
Okay.
So the whole relationship with God thing, it's quite interesting. Like, I think Kwale said, like, life happens. When life happens, you see how a person reacts, right? So, like, it's so funny. There was a time, like, in our marriage, I can talk about us, right?
Yeah.
There's a time.
I mean,
Just want to make sure it's cool. Just want to make sure it's cool.
Hey,
because I ain't trying to fight after this.
Right. So
that track home.
interest, like, obviously we won't all be at the same level, right, of a relationship with God. But there is religious people, like, for example, it's a stupid example where someone is driving in traffic, they get cut off, next thing, F words, middle fingers, right? She doesn't do that. Yeah? That's another example to see this person, there is something going on in there. Another one is like with my wife, right? Like plans for marriage. When we're getting married, we would pray. We prayed. And my name means prayer. I never prayed so much. But with Nicci, we prayed. Right? We prayed. Right? Yeah, so with that, I could see that when there was lack or there's something he's trusting God for, something that she wanted, should bring God into it. But then there was a season as well where, I don't know, there's things going on with me as well, obviously. But I see my wife would wake up. I'm not a morning person, right? She'd wake up every single day, 4 a.m., 4:30, read the Bible and pray, every single day, né? And then on our drive to work would fight. what relationship is this?
Bible, you reading?
So, like, so confused, right? Like I was so confused that
That's real.
Yeah, I'm seeing all these activities, reading of the Bible daily and all that stuff. And I think you can say it. Like, I think we came to a realization, well, she came to a realization that, hey, it's not just about having devotion and saying a prayer to God. It's living a life with God, right? And when we started bringing God into the relationship, like literally living with God, like you don't have to there's a time for prayer, right? There's a time for 2 hours of prayer, 8 hours of prayer, like some people used to do. I don't know if Kwale still does, right? There's a time for that, but constantly, T.D. Jakes said this, when you're talking to God, you're talking to God constantly, like every single time of the day. And that's a type of relationship with God I aspire to. And that's what I think that's what attracted Nicci to me. And now I'm speaking on her behalf, but we've had this conversation. Right, yeah?
Okay. No, I think you've got it spot on. And then I'm going to ask the Rams and the Marules, how do you deal with each other's weaknesses? So that was another question that came through.
Okay. Yeah, to be quite honest, it's not an easy thing, but one way or the other, we happen to complement each other's weakness. Okay, for example, I don't talk. I talk when given a platform, but I'm not a good communicator, right? And she is straightforward. Like when she doesn't like something, like she would like, go head on. For me, I take time. I'm more of a person who is I analyze quite a lot, before making a decision. So how that has helped us when we have to deal with something outside us, I know I say, Bobby, you take it.
You say Bobby.
And I know head on. Any situation head on, and I always ask myself, if I wasn't with this woman, I think I would have been, I don't know, maybe
very lost in life.
Probably very lost and not having achieved whatever that we have achieved. Because for her, she's a go-getter, but I'm too much of an analyst.
Yeah.
And I would analyze situations first.
Yeah.
And before I can even come to a decision has been made already. And so I think somehow I think our weaknesses, they complement each other.
Because I think because I'm very optimistic. So if I think of something, I just want to wake up and get into it.
Yeah.
And sometimes being optimistic is good, but sometimes it's bad, because especially when it comes to business decisions, you either win big or you fall hard. So with him, he's like more of an analyzer. Like, so that's where, the gap helps out. When I'm thinking, let's do this, he will want to go through it. Wait, let's look at the disadvantages. Let's look at the advantages. Let's do this. And I'll be so frustrated because I'm like, we must do this now.
Yeah.
So I would say, and most of my weakness, it's his strength. Most of my strength is his weakness. So I think that's also one thing that made us connect so much and love each other. It's because of that. We're willing to like balance each other. We're willing to like wait, So yeah.
Yeah. I think also in a relationship, you manage and you develop this tolerance to each other's weaknesses, and this person, okay, this is her weakness. Even when it comes to love language, I'm not a guy that would just pop up and come with flowers, but she knows that I love her a lot, but at the same time, she wants that, it's like, oh, you don't do this, you don't do that, but okay, but that it's somehow, I feel like it's my weakness.
Mm-hmm.
But when I have to do something, I would do it, something romantically. But we can go to movies and I will sleep half through the movie. So I'm that guy. And tolerant to say, okay, as much as I know my guy in this area, he's not that good. As much as I wish to have this type, but she accept that, and you have that tolerance. Even with her, I know there's a lot of things that we did where she made a decision and we crashed, and I had to ish. We were supposed to wait and do this and that and that. So we complement each other's weakness, and accept each other's weakness.
I like that you say you accept each other's weaknesses. Marules, do you want me to say the question again?
I'll answer the weakness one. Okay, well, the God one, I think, you have to see how a person responds to life. That's how you know if this person, is godly or whatever. The second question is the weakness one. So for me personally, the way, I dealt with her weaknesses is, I remember in the early days of marriage. Can you guys hear me? Because this thing is
perfect.
You hear your radio voice, bro.
Yeah. I actually, anyway, but yeah, so I read this verse, and it wasn't quietly, you'll keep me honest, bro. It was Colossians chapter 3, somewhere there. And it said, in the NLT, it said, I was reading in the morning that Nicci thing, when you read the Bible and then you act like an idiot the entire day. But it said, it said, don't be harsh to your wife. And it was as if God was like shouting at me, like, because I think we had a fight the night before. And this was like the early days of marriages, marriage, like probably first, second month, somewhere there. And I felt like God was shouting at me, and God was saying that I read in the NLT, it says, don't be harsh to your wife. And, when these things come up, and even now this year, the main word to me is, to treat her as an equal partner in God's inheritance. Like, I think I'm more spiritual, but I'm actually not. She's an equal partner in this. So I need to relate to her. I need to bring myself down. As much as, she might say things that I'm like, oh, that's actually, that's not godly. God actually goes around and judges me on that. Like, oh, so you think you're godly. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's how I deal with, her weaknesses, is to know that, man, we're all human. She's trying, I'm trying, and I must just lower myself, and then we'll be able to deal with it. Sorry, guys.
No problem. Mua Hings, do you guys want to take that question as well? How do you guys handle each other's weaknesses?
I think we answered the Rams. That's exactly our dilemma. Like, I am, yes, now, let's do it. And Happy here, oh, let's pray. Let's pray.
No, I'm an analyst. I'm more of an analyst. No, I'm more like an analyst. Like,
guys, copy and paste, you guys. By the time he's ready to make a decision, I'm here because I want to get it. Like, why? But she's all right that in being like that, it's either you win big or you fall very hard. So, but I'm so comforted by the fact that there's someone like that, because sometimes he's against me. He's like, listen, you're always on the run. You're always on the run. So,
funny thing is when you go ahead and make a decision and something goes wrong, it's hard for me to say, I told you. I keep it to myself. I'm like, I thought about it. But then I was not strong enough to stand my ground and say no.
I kid you not. There was a particular incident, that a particular project we were undertaking. So I said to her, I remember driving the car and I'm saying, but you can't put in so much because we're not yet quite sure of the return. Like, we can't just do this. So then she was like to me, and I was weighing the pros and the cons, and I was saying, but this might happen. This might happen. You don't even have, and I'm weighing them. I'm weighing them down. I'm like, but this, that. And then she was like to me, we're doing this. Now here's the thing about it, right? It didn't work the way she thought it was gonna work. It worked out the way that I said it might work, right? But now I'm sitting there, and I can't say to her, I told you so. I can't say that.
You can't.
I can't say that. You know?
Yeah, you are expected to own the fall, as if like, okay, baby,
Yeah.
we
and I learned better because I remember in our first 7 months or 8 months of marriage, I actually gave her that I told you so look, and then she actually did what you said. She was like, she actually flipped it and said to me, "Oh, so you're not supportive, huh? You're not supportive. You don't support." I'm like, "Oh, okay, now I've learned better."
Crazy,
Nicci,
eh?
yeah, Nicci. Your second question was?
The second question was the question of the weaknesses, but I've got two more that I want to add on to this whole thing. So what was the final thing or cherry on top through the ups and downs that made you decide that this will be your life partner? And then I'm going to add another question, which is, should one of the partners in the marriages step out of their vows and cheat emotionally or physically? Is that valid enough to get divorced? We will take the cheating one, but like the other one is, what was the final thing or cherry on top through the ups and downs that made you decide this will be your life partner? Who wants to take that?
Can I answer that one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'll go first. So when I got saved, right, I pretty much lost everything, like money-wise. I think the only thing I had left was my car. And she remembers, guys, I sold stock. What insurance type thing? You know, like, yo, guys, it was bad. When I realized, no, this woman is the woman, it was when she was like, no, don't sell your car. You know, I'll give you money to go to the interviews, and you know, I'll put the fuel in the car, go out and hit those interviews and stuff like that. And I only got the job in April, right? Yeah. So it was like literally from I stopped having an income around November, and she even, guys, don't do this at all. Don't do this at all. What I'm about to say, you unmarried people, don't do this. She literally paid for my minimum repayment on my loans.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
But don't do that. But don't do that. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, guys, up until I got the job, she literally kept, you know, and I was like, yeah, no, guys, this is the woman to marry. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh no, that's deep. And then more Hanks, do you guys want to take that question on the final thing that made you see that this is my life partner?
Yeah, you know,
But we'll come to the Rams.
Be honest with you, right? So I'm just gonna be honest. So I went, before I met my wife, I went through a couple of ladies, of course, you know, maybe I'd say 3 or 4. And one of the things that happened consistently, not consistently per se, but one of the things that happened is that I found out later that they said a lot of negative things about me. And that really touched me because I knew that a lot of them were not true. You know, they were just saying them because of whatever it is that they were saying. And then later when people came and told me some of those things and explained that no, and even the people that were there in those contexts and situations would come back and say, but no, but that's not what happened. And that thing really touched me a lot, you know. So for the longest time, I would sit back and I'd be like, yo, but this is not correct. But because I'm not the type of person who would actually confront people and say, but don't do this and don't do that and don't do this. I'm just the kind of person who sits back and just says, you know what, let it happen. Yes. But then what happened with her is there was a particular incident that what happened with her is that I would hear the things she would say about people even when they were not there. I would hear that. And so it really got my attention because You know, sometimes you hear people say good things about people when they're not there, or when they are, even when she's in a disagreement with them, even when she doesn't necessarily but the things she'd say about them behind closed doors really got my attention, because it told me something about her heart. And I think that is probably the thing that really grabbed me the most.
I didn't know this.
It's true. It was the state of her heart, and it's just the things she said about people. And I know when someone hears this, they may think, but just that. But because of the consistency of the things that I'd experienced, and I just wanted to be in the presence of a person that I felt, you know, of course, I felt that they had a pure heart. I liked that about her. I liked that element about her, and because I knew that at some point, you know, if you're talking about marriage, you're gonna be spending a whole lot of time with a person, and you want to spend time with a person whose heart is pure, you know. And that is the one thing that when she did that, I was like, my goodness, like, this is my wife for sure.
I didn't know this.
And the interesting thing is, when we were dating, we went through a lot of ups and downs, certain things that went to the extreme, that shouldn't have gone to the extreme, certain challenges. But I think because of that particular factor, that I knew her heart is the thing that just got me attracted to her, that got me pulled to her. You know, so honestly speaking, that was it for me. I don't know for her.
For me, I think just being with him, it felt like rest. Like I said, that one thing I truly appreciate about him is our friendship. So I think more days than not, I from dating to marriage, it's been a friendship journey. So yeah, I'm just chilling with that very good friend. Like I'm at ease. I relax. I can trust him. It's peaceful. Like it really is. Like there's no drama. Yeah, so there's no drama. I think that was it. A peaceful relationship. That was it for me. That I want this for life.
And there's a verse in the Bible, I don't know, Kwale, you correct me. There's a verse in the Bible where it says you find rest in the arms of, or is it in the bosom of your loved one? There's some verse like that somewhere. I'm paraphrasing.
Solomon stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was you, Cindy. So the Rams, what's your take on that?
I think they are twins, like literally. You guys are like because with me, there was a time that I prayed about it. I prayed about, you know, as I said before, we actually dated. I had a boyfriend, and I think I was a prayerful person even from a young age. And then I would pray about it that, you know, when you see differences, when you, let's say you're visiting your boyfriend, and maybe when something comes up, he doesn't, you know, he doesn't make you a priority. But here on the other side, he's my friend. But when I go visit him, you know, he tells everybody to go, you know, it like makes so much attention for me. And I was like, okay.
Privacy,
you
maybe.
We're planning something.
So and when I prayed about it, I remember like there was a night that I prayed about it, and I'm like, hey, I've got this one as well, who's a friend. So God, please show me. And I remember that the very same night I dreamt that it's him, you know. And I remember waking up, because it was not my boyfriend, it was just a friend. I remember waking up going, oh no, God, that's not the answer I wanted.
And how old were you when this prayer happened?
Sorry?
So how old were you when this prayer
happened? I was way back. It was in high school. So I think it was one of our roller coasters. But at that point in time, he was just my friend. And when I had the dream, I was like, no, God, that's not the answer I'm looking for. Because at that point in time, he had someone else. So for me, it was like, oh my goodness, why are you showing me this? But the thing about him that also made us to be, it's because we like spending time together. Yeah. We just, somehow we would just find a reason to just be together. Even when we're not dating, we're just friends. And when I say that we twins with you guys, it's because I also just enjoy having him, you know, being with him. And also he says, well, let me not answer for him, but it's similar to your answer.
I see.
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, yeah. I think for me, one thing I know for sure about my wife is that she has a genuine heart. Like, I know she is straight. It's either green or it's not.
Right.
You know. So for her, she does have a beautiful heart. I'm not sure if she can't even lie. That's also another thing. I know her that much, and that's what attracted me to her. She's so genuine and true. I can really trust her, you know. So whenever, and we always find time to be together. We spend a lot of time together. Like we never get tired of each other. That's one thing I think that kept us going for so long. Is because we don't get tired of each other. You know, you get those people, 30 minutes is enough, Joe. Like 30 minutes. Go. And I think also being together for so long, like we had so many dreams. We are dreamers. Like we are dreamers. And there's nothing that I would tell her, like, you know, baby, we need to do 1, 2, 3, and then she would not support, you know. And she would come with, baby, I think we must do 1, 2, 3, and I would support as well, because I think at a very young age, our dreams were actually bigger than us at that time. You know, I think that's why she also wished that we had met maybe 10 years later, because when we were more matured. But I guess, you know, God did whatever He did so that we can continue to be connected. So I think for us, a tick for me was she's very true, she's very genuine, and I can tell when she lies. She can't even lie. So, yeah.
Once in a while.
Sure. So there are many questions, but I just want to touch on Precious's one, where she says, should a partner step out in the marriage, whether they cheat emotionally or physically, is that valid enough to get a divorce? So I'll answer that because I've been through that. We've been through that. And I think for me at the moment, when I was an angry Black woman, I was like, I'm throwing in the towel. I am done. This nigga gone and stepped out on who? On me? Like, you know, God, I was not called for this. And then I think when God then revealed to me or reminded me of the vision that He had for the marriage and that we both had for our marriage and the purpose God had put us together, I then it got back to me that I need to fight for my marriage, because we both come from families that have had divorce in them. So it was a generational curse. It was a curse that was getting passed from generation to generation. And when God came and was like, you cannot let this continue. It has to stop. The buck has to stop some way. And the reason why I'll say it was a generational curse, because marriage is a God thing. It's a God thing, and we are not of this world. We are spirit beings. So we are constantly fighting battles in the spirit realm. And I think when there was infidelity in our relationship, yes, there was infidelity, but then you go back to the vows you made. You go back to what love is. So the vows, you know, I think we tend to forget when you stand in front of the pastor, you're standing in front of God as well, where you say through thick and thin, through rich or poor. You know, it's nice. Those are nice vows to say at that time. But when the tar hits the road and now you're faced with the thickness of it, I think God is like, but you said those vows, it was a covenant, you know. And there's something I heard from one of the ladies I look up to, where she's like, you're going to get to heaven. God is going to, because God says we are conquerors. We conquer. We're not mediocre people. When you get to heaven, God is going to be like, what did you conquer? And for me, I can confidently say I had to conquer the spirit that had come between my husband and I, which was a spirit of infidelity. And the reason why I'll call it a spirit, it came with a generational curse, which had its own little cousins. Because divorce just doesn't come in jail with divorce. Divorce will come with its cousin of money issues. It'll come with its cousin of infidelity. It brings a lot of, bitterness. So it brings a lot of cousins along that way. And I think when I knew my purpose for the marriage, I knew I had to fight for my marriage, as to say, I'm going to divorce. I didn't opt for divorce. God does not like divorce. And I was like, I will fight it. I will fight for my marriage and I'll forgive him. Because when you go to Corinthians is love is kind, love is patient, love holds no record of wrong. You know, it's very nice to say these things, but now when you have to live the word, where you have to be like, you know, Christ, marriage resembles Christ in the church. How many times have we backed out on Christ? How many times have we stepped out on Christ? We can call it cheating. If I lie, if I cheat, if I steal, I'm cheating on Christ. But for him to still come back and forgive me, if he can forgive me, who am I not to forgive my husband or anything? So I think, to answer Precious's question, that's how we dealt with it. And it's a different case for different people, because I don't want to say our solution worked, but you need to come to understand your purpose for your marriage, what God has put both of you together, because God doesn't put any of us together for nothing. There is a reason, there's a purpose, there's a vision. And when you're clear on that, you will never, if one falls, you're able to lift up that person and say, remember, we're running towards that goal. Let's complete it and everything. So that's, yeah, and then, my husband wants to add.
So make it like I gave her a script to talk and to share if I don't say anything.
Share as the forgivee.
Yeah. Right. So, and I know she's being conscious of time. Remember, guys, like it's 4:30 already.
It's 4:30. You see how I said time will move and we will not know.
Yeah. But I just want to add on to that whole the cheating thing, right? As a man, hearing this from my wife, it is quite embarrassing. It's embarrassing, right? As a man, I know the men in the panel will understand, right? Yeah. And to have a wife like Nicci, who shows God's true character, turned me to repentance as well, right? And also infidelity and cheating as well in a marriage. We have a podcast. We'll talk we'll go in depth on it in our series that we're doing. But I just wanted to add there's a build up to it. There's in our marriage, as we were growing up together, like the Rams as well, we have big dreams. I'm sure everyone here, we spend so much time together, and because of the spirit that dwells within us, when we imagine, those things go high. You understand? So, and when they started happening in our lives, when God started blessing us quite early on in our marriage, but we literally became passing ships. I became too busy, right? Like what Koketso was saying, my job is to talk to people, right? I train up people, I work with organizations, but when it came to communication back at home, there was none of that, right? And we became passing ships. And like what my wife said, a whole lot of things came with it, and hanging around the wrong people and decisions that I made, right? That got me in a space where I became rebellious. The thing is, when you start rebelling against God, specifically as a man, right? Remember earlier we were talking about relationship with God. If you guys remember in the Bible, Jesus will always say he does what his father says he must do, or as his father does, right? And in the Bible, it also compares Jesus to a husband. Like Jesus laid down his life for the church, right? So as a man, when I stopped and I rebelled and I turned away from God, obviously that Jesus characteristic that I'm created with disappeared, right? As I rebelled against religion and my relationship with God, I started pulling away from the gift that God gave me and the marriage that God gave me, right? And it created room for Satan to come and be Satan in my household, right? And I wish in that space when I was rebelling, I wish I was locked up in a room somewhere or in a house somewhere where I couldn't get in contact with other people. Because in that space, I hurt a whole lot of people. You understand? And literally towards the end of last year, this lady had just turned. What's going on, God? I don't deserve none of this, right?
Yeah.
But I could see her true love. On the 22nd of September, I was on my way to Mafikeng, right? And she contacted me on our anniversary, and we arranged a date. I was hesitant to do it, right? came back, thought about it, and then we had that date.
And then we were separated at that time.
Yeah, we were separated at that time. But I could see, like, love, if I could put it that way. You understand? I could say the same kind of love that God showed me. Because at that time, when we were separated, I sort of disqualified myself from God completely, right? To the point that I couldn't even talk to God. But when my wife came back, it's like, hey, dude, I want to work this out. I want this to work and all that stuff. I had no choice but to fall back in love and fall back in line and fall back in God. You understand? And purely out of that mercy that God showed us, there was no divorce, right? There was a lot of forgiveness. And it's a journey. Like, I don't want to get too much into it, but it's a journey. It's a journey. Like in the beginning, we said, trust me, if she didn't have a relationship with God, or I didn't have a relationship with God, I don't think we'd be here.
No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't.
Yeah. So that God factor that we spoke about in the beginning, it's important. That's how
I'm going to tie these two questions together. So one question was, there are many worldly views and opinions on how to blend families. What's your guys' godly views on blended families? So in that, I'm trying to gather, because I also see another question came in on blended families in terms of parents, in terms of children, because blended is, one is like with Cindy and Kwaile, one is Zulu, one is Sutu. Kwaile is Sutu, hey. One is Sutu, like how, because it's a blended background. You're not from the same cultures. It's two blended backgrounds coming together. And I think also, Tidi, you guys also have a blended background. So they ask that question as to what's your guys' take on that from a Christian view of blending families. And I think they also brought in children. So like with us, because we came in with two different children from different backgrounds, how is that working? So Rams, are you guys from the same culture? Like, are you
same tribe?
Same tribe.
Yeah.
It was
You know, with us Torians, our culture is Pretoria, so
Pretoria.
I think we didn't struggle much with the blending.
I think.
So I'll ask them.
Can you guys see us?
Can you hear us?
You froze. You froze.
But they froze nicely, yeah?
So I'll take the question to the Munahengs. How did you guys blend from different cultures?
Specifically Zulu and Sutu.
Specifically Zulu and Sutu, because how did that come together?
The
whole world. Like obviously, because it's in-laws. It's dealing with in-laws. And Kwaile, how are you accepting her in-laws? Cindy, how are you accepting of Kwaile's in-laws?
I think I'll start and then she'll come after me.
Let me start. It wasn't easy, especially with us, the two of us. It wasn't difficult, because I think our relationship has been centered around the values of God more than cultural values. That was the first. So I think at least our own foundation together was founded on God. So between us, there wasn't a problem. But problems did start when marriage had to start and families had to be involved. I must say that the whole lobola process, it was not easy. Because in my family, everything is cultural, and the way there's a lot that my Zulu culture does towards a marriage, and in the Sutu culture, it's not. They don't do all those things. So there's really, 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 really a big clash. So much that there's a process which we had to skip, and we got married, because what happened is that Lobola was done, and then the next thing after Lobola, there's like Membeso, and then Mabo. There was so much disagreements in the families that we're like, you know what?
Cindy, can you just explain what Membeso is for people who are not from South Africa, so they understand what's that?
You see, Membeso,
and I don't even know what that is.
Best example in the Bible, when Isaac went to take gifts to Rebecca's family, like when Isaac's family was sent to go marry to go get Rebecca. Isaac's family brought a truckload of gifts to Rebecca's family in order for Rebecca to horses and Rebecca's was horses and
horses load because there's no trucks in the type.
Okay, well, he says horses load because it wasn't truckloads. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, basically it's the process whereby the guy brings gifts to my family just to acknowledge and thank them for raising a good daughter and taking me as a daughter. The same way Isaac in the Bible, Isaac's family took gifts to Rebecca's family. Basically, that's what Umembeso is. And then there'd also be Umabo, where I also take stuff to his family. It's a whole lot of celebration, guys. Our African weddings are beautiful. We must not stop them. They are just celebrations in different terms, colorful and beautiful. We need them. We must not stop them, even though we're Christian. So we really believe in that, and we are still going to do it. So, but what happened is that there were so many clashes in the way with the two families, in the understanding of how things are done. Sotho people do things, but not as extreme as us Zulu people. So yeah, it really was a big clash. But then we said at some point we are setting the dates because the whole lobola was done in full. So legally, culturally, he was accepted to be he could take me as a wife. So I was already, he had a say on when the wedding can happen. So we're like, you know what, we are setting this wedding. Yes, if you guys sort this thing out, it's okay, it can be sorted out. But then if it's not sorting out on this particular day, we are getting married. And I think that really helped us, because had we stayed with the drama of the disagreement, the cultural disagreements, we might have never gotten married. If we tried to wait for our families to understand each other and their cultural differences, we're going to wait years before we got married. Our lobola was done in January 2018, and our wedding was in September. And yeah, beautiful wedding. We're very happy. So yes, slowly, because now we're married, they are now getting, families are slowly getting to understand each other, but also because of the distance. Most of his family, they are in Lesotho, but then the parents are here in Joburg with us, and my family is in KZN. So we haven't really had a lot of time to spend time and for them to really get to know each other. But then there's phone calls where they're slowly trying to get to know each other and understand each other. So by the time we do that gift ceremony, I think we are going to be, it's going to be a good celebration. So we look forward to it. In terms of that, we are still going to do that cultural celebration, because also my family believes in the gifts. My mom, almost every time she speaks to him on the phone, she's like, my blankets.
Imagine.
Or blankets.
every time my other mother calls me, she reminds me that, son, remember, I still want my blankets, I still want this, I still want that. So yeah, but I just wanted to say that, I'll just in short, because she said a lot of everything that I was going to say, but I just wanted to say that, yeah, I think that was just the aspect of it. I think when it comes to blended families, mostly you'll find that it has to do with the family, the family outside of you guys, that you find that the blending might be a bit of a conflict. But I think between us, we quickly decided that we were going to base our marriage on biblical principles, And in the Bible they say there's no Jew, no Greek, or no male, no female, but a new creation. So we decided, we're going to base our principles on new creation, and that is the foundation and the basis under which we function and live by. But I do think, to be honest, that the challenge is going to be when you have kids. And the reason I think it's going to be a challenge is because, for example, I'm Sotho, right? And she's Zulu. And one of the things that we always jokingly speak about is say, which one is going to be the predominant language? Because she's now she's patriotic, nope, they must know Zulu, they must speak Zulu. And I'm like, no, they must speak Sotho, you know what I mean? They must speak Sotho, full on Sotho. So I think those are going to be factors that we're still going to encounter as we have children
and I'm like mother tongue.
Yeah.
Mother tongue.
Guys, do you know kids can learn like 3 languages at a go? So don't even worry.
I think we're going to
Even
just
try.
yeah.
You shouldn't worry
Oh,
about
they
that.
can literally learn both at the same time. Don't even worry about it.
And another thing about kids, guys, you know what I've realized, right?
Yeah.
I've realized that, you know, it's and this is because, you know, we're Christians, so we have this outlook on life. You know, I look at a lot of the parents, especially black parents, they look down on these new kids that are coming up that only speak English. But they never talk about whether does the kid have a good heart? Does the kid respect elders? Does the kid, like, it's always like, hey, okay, let's loom Sam.
Yeah, with your twang.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, this new generation, for me, guys, the language is not an issue for me. For me, that before we even get to the Christ stuff, do they respect their parents? Do they have a kind heart towards their little, you know, 3-year-old buddies or whatever? I mean, they don't stick their face in the sand and all that stuff. Okay, sharp, your kid talks your language, but your kid is like, you know, a jerk, bruh. You know what I mean? So for me, for me and TD, it's like, you know, we'll let the chips fall where they may, you know, obviously nudging them there and there. But for me, I really want the kid to have a good heart.
Yeah.
Which thing, it's kind of dying out, guys. With this whole COVID thing, the world is becoming very close-knitted.
Yeah.
So, you know, people are going to be speaking one language very, very soon. They already are.
Just to be wary of your guys' time, we've got 5 minutes and a whole lot of questions actually came through. So what I'm going to do, to be fair to everyone who actually asked on the platform, is I'm going to ask for us to do a part 2. And we will be in communication as to when that will come out. And then just ask to add an extra. So can I have 10 minutes of your time? So instead of us ending at 16:45, we end off at 16:55, just to get through the top bit of the questions. And then the other questions will be answered in part 2. I did say you will not realize time will move like this.
Yeah, no,
So
that's fly.
Yay, there's a very interesting question. I think the courting one, I'm going to tie these two ones.
Yeah.
So then there's one that says, I think it was Chantal's one with regards to courting. She was asking, how do you tell the difference between courting and dating? And then there's another one that asked, when someone is courting, should they really fight for their relationship as if they're married?
It's so fun, like growing up, even in the church as well, we're not really taught what courting is, right, and dating. So there's this confusion, especially in the church, right? It's like courting is a special thing, right? But what courting really means is you are accountable to your leaders, right? And for example, when I met Nicci, right, we decided we're not just dating, we are courting. And for our relationship to be defined as courting, we dated with an intention to get married. That intention was made clear to our leaders and our parents and everyone around us. You understand, right? The reason being, firstly, I actually enjoyed having a relationship like that, because when I didn't understand something about my wife or anything, I had someone to talk to, right? I could go to my leader or to my boys or to my parents even and say, hey, this is what's happening. We had a fight today and all this stuff. And it was easier to get advice and apply it, right? So we're not in the dark in our relationship. We're not doing it alone, right? And that's what made it courting. And as a question, the other part there was, what did it say about fighting? Should someone?
I've gone out. There's so many questions.
I think they were asking, should you fight for your for your relationship when you're courting, like you're married, like it's a marriage. And the way I'd answer that is, hey, you only fight for something you believe there's value to, right? If you don't feel like fighting for your relationship, I think you're wasting time, right?
Exactly.
We fought when we were courting towards marriage. We fought, right? Like there's a time we were driving back home from work, and argument. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Nicci took off her ring and then I walked. Understand? It happens. It's a relationship, but your relationship goes through a test. But yeah, and I wasn't willing to give up on the relationship. So we fought for the relationship. If you can't fight for the relationship, then hey, there's another question that person must ask themselves. They're just being honest.
Does anyone else want to take that?
I just want to take that. I just wanted to say, yeah, I just like what Tab said there. And I think to the person who asked the question, everything is in context. Like everything's in context. And what tends to happen in courting is that people, and that's why I think when we were answering the question earlier, my wife spoke about the fact that, like, so good, my wife.
I didn't mean
that. When she explained that when we started first dating, we dated and we didn't tell the leadership. We just dated by ourselves on the side, and the reason why we did that is because of we just wanted to find out about each other and just relieve ourselves.
We wanted to find ourselves.
And just relieve ourselves of the pressure, right?
Yes.
So what tends to happen when people are courting is that they have, and they're courting in church and people know about it, is that there's this pressure to follow through, even if you realize when you're courting that, what, I don't want to be with this person.
And you haven't even found each other.
Yeah,
like you don't know each other.
Right? So I think everything's in context. You fight for something, as Tab said, that you see has substance. But if you really realize in your courting that, but this is not what I want, and these are the kind of issues that I won't be able to put up with after you get married, then don't fight for it. It's okay to walk away.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called courting. You're bringing it to the court for evaluation, not just by the leaders, by yourself.
Exactly. I was just.
Yeah.
I'm taking that on, bro.
Can you say it again?
Say it again. Say that again. Crazy.
I will say it again.
Give this guy a TBN show, man.
The reason why it's called courting is because you're bringing it to the court for evaluation, not just by the leaders, but by yourself too. So it's very important. Like if the issues are beyond what you think you can take, you can walk away. You should walk away. You don't have to fight it and think there's pressure now. What are people going to think in church? The leaders are going to think maybe you guys are not serious. No, you can walk away. And I think so.
And it's real.
That's right.
Sorry. No, I was just saying that we've heard of people who knew while they were courting, and the relationship was before the courts, right before a church, and they knew that there were issues. And then for some reason, they got afraid to say the truth and walk away. And life happens in marriage. There's no relationship that will ever be more real and messy in your life like a marriage. Everything is just like you can't pretend anymore. And those things, unfortunately, are going to come out. You don't want to be that person that got divorced after a year, after 6 months, because it just gets real and you won't be able to take it. So, yeah, Abby said it 100%.
The Rams wanted to say something.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I wanted to say, when it comes to a courtship, we must also remember that this is a relationship between two people. People are not genuine in their journey with God. Even when we do this courtship, you do courtship as a partner, we lie so much. We're not genuine. And after a couple of people get married because they were lying to themselves, to both themselves and the pastor and whoever is taking them through the process, then the reality comes when they are together. So at the end of the day, the only people that needs to qualify your partnership and your union is both of you. All right. So we can be dating and not even courting and build something that is solid. Okay, because there's a lack of of people being real when we do this courtship thing. That is why people they court, right? You get people they're on a courtship, and then the next thing, after a couple of days, they get married, and then they are together, and then they start realizing, I hate this person. Like everything about this person I don't like, because they were lying. They were lying to each other. I mean,
It's real, man.
we always bring a holy face. We try to bring forth a holy face, a holy reality, but there's so many things that we need to face. You know, there's so many things that we need to be true to. We might have our own little smaller things that will create chaos when we are together. Okay, and we need to. I mean, for example, with me and my wife, I know my wife is not domesticated, right? And I had to accept that my wife is not domesticated. But in most cases, you might find me as a guy, you might want to marry your mother. You get what I mean? Because you saw your mother doing 1, 2, 3 cooking, and 5 o'clock your father is sitting there on the couch, is eating, and then you're like, I wish for this. Then reality strikes, and when reality strikes, and you have this person, and you get in, you're like, I am so hungry. You know, it was a long day, and they're like, I don't know what we're gonna eat. How? You're supposed to know what we're gonna eat. And then it becomes one of those weaknesses. Then how are you going to accept it? So people are not real. For example, we can be courting, and you can say, you know, I clean. You know, I do all sorts of things, and start lying to each other. And we try to portray a relationship, or someone might want to reflect their relationship on you, but it's between two people. And you know, sometimes marriage and relationships is not a one cast fit all. It's not, you know. And how I deal with our union might be different to your union, and we need to find our foundation and build on a base that we understand each other, and it's between us. Yes, the pastor and whoever is taking us through a courtship, they believe that a wife is this, but this is us. We have our own script to write, you know, and we need to live with that. Okay. Yes.
Wow, well done.
Thank you.
Hey.
I
do cook.
Oh, you do cook.
Please clarify, my sister. Please clarify.
Guys, so sorry, what did I want to justify? Now she cooks very well, but also then you get to understand that if I want this to work, like if I want this to work, I must make money to always have a helper. I've always had a helper. If you want it to work, this is a weakness, you accept it. It's not even a weakness, it's more time together, you know. Because you have someone mending other things, then you have you two to mend and spend time. Thank you, guys. I think I said everything.
That's good.
That is good. Drop mic.
Drop mic.
When Nicci, you were talking about blending, I think it also comes to, you know, our in-laws, but I think we can talk about it on the next video.
Yes, definitely.
Build our own thing.
Definitely. So there are many questions, guys, and I think we will address them in part 2. People are even saying a part 3, please. So I don't want us to take long. So I just want us to sign out. It has been a beautiful conversation, and to our watchers, thank you so much for watching. Do share, do love, do like, and do join. We will get to your questions in part 2 and part 3 because I see it was very juicy. But thank you. But thank you to everyone who's tuned in and watched. And I was going to end off with a question, but I think it's still going to go on now. So what I'll do is, can you guys just give us a 30-second goodbye from each family? And then I'm going to end the Facebook Live, but can you guys still stay on the Zoom, right? So I'll start with the Marules. Can you guys give a 30-second goodbye from your family? Marules, are they frozen?
Oh! Yeah, this is goodbye from the Marula family. Always keep it real, always be honest with each other, and yeah. Always take it to God. He'll fix it.
Yes, and the Rams, your goodbye?
I think it's important to marry someone who you connect so much with. Like, make your husband, make your partner your friend. It's not nice when, because many relationships, I know that what they fight about is that he spends time with his friends way too much than me. So it's actually, you need to form a relationship. There must be a friendship within the relationship, within the marriage. There must be a true, he's my bestie. So that's why we can continue on and on.
Yeah.
My 2 cents.
Thank you, guys.
See, now I want to repeat exactly what the Ram said, because we did say like we're twinning, hey? Yeah, no, for me, really, the most important thing from dating to marriage, that friendship, because I've learned that love alone does not sustain this. I don't always feel in love with him, but what keeps me here is my friend, and I always love exercising of the fruit of the spirit, that we have to be kind to each other. You have to be nice to each other, and you have to be very intentional about it, because hey, sometimes you might wake up on the wrong side of the bed, as the world says, but you have to be intentionally nice and kind to each other. And yeah, and then you're all good. Thank you so much.
I'm not a TV person. Right, guys, thank you so much. I'm gonna sign out as a Nicci's, right? And so I think this has been a very valuable conversation from the Munachings, Marules, and the Rams, right? And yeah, just for the singles out there, right? Don't give up on marriage. Your partner is there. When you find your partner, trust me, stick on, be friends, go into marriage, don't give up. We need more marriages in this world right now. Yeah.
Okay, and then thank you to the viewers.